Welcome to my midweek episode of Real Women's Stories. Today I'm going to be focusing my midweek episode on letting go of judgment and shifting our mindset. This really follows on from my previous episode where we really talk about believing in ourselves. But I feel that in order to believe in ourselves, there's a couple of concepts that we really need to dig deep into. And the first one is self-doubt. So, have you got this idea that you want to make a change, or you've got this big dream, but all of a sudden you feel frozen because your, doubt comes into play. We start to doubt ourselves. you know, we might be thinking of making this change, but all of a sudden we've got this voice in our head that says, you're not good enough, or maybe I don't have the skills to do that thing, whatever it is that I want to do. So I would like to bring in two really powerful ideas that have resonated with me lately. And one is from Lisa Hopper's book, Truly You, where she talks about judgment. And if we release judgment on ourselves and on others, that creates a whole space for us to start feeling confidence and having self-belief. And the other one is Karen Farrell's breathwork. I attended a workshop of Karen's recently, and she talks about how we can use our breath to simply reframe how we're thinking, so our thoughts become more positive, and then we can create more space and opportunity. So both those concepts and ideas come hand in hand. So let's start with Lisa Hopper's idea of judgment. Where does judgment come from? Judgment comes from and has been created throughout the many years that we have lived our lives. It starts when we're young. We're told we need to be perfect. We're told we need to have certain skills. We're told we need to behave in a certain way, to look a certain way, to interact in a certain way. But we've created those. And then what we do is we pass that judgment onto other people. So that fear then becomes ours, because we then start judging other people. I'll give you an example. I'm sure all of us have done this. Take social media. Have you had an instance where you've looked at social media, and it could have been even in one of my posts, where you've looked at that person and gone, oh, that's not quite right, or that doesn't feel quite comfortable, or it doesn't sit well with me. Now, who are we to judge that other person? Is that not a reflection of how we perceive ourselves? So we're looking at that person as if they are us, and we are then critiquing them as if they are us, but they're not. They're somebody completely different. So we then start to create this fear and this judgment that we're bringing with us along our own journey throughout our lives. What if we became curious about our judgments? What if we started asking questions? Is that right? Is that person making an effort? Is that person me? And am I thinking about judging that person based on my beliefs, on my own self-beliefs? Now that would be interesting, wouldn't it? So we start becoming curious on the way that we judge other people, and then we can start questioning ourselves as to whether or not those are our fears or they're someone else's fears. And if they are our fears, are those fears a reality of really how we should be perceiving other people and ourselves? And are those fears stopping us from stepping into that space, from making the change or pursuing the dream that we want to fulfill and that we want to grow into? This is an example that I'm giving to you from where I have coached one of my clients. And one of my clients wanted to go for a job interview. Now, she had worked a good 10 years and had a great career, and then had taken some time off to be a mum and to look after her kids. she wanted to go for a job. And she just said, Lisa, you know what? I just don't think I've got those skills, that they're asking for in the brief. And I don't think I'll get the job. So I sort of said to her, why do you think that? Because first of all, you've had the skills in your career where you worked, and now you've developed skills as a mum, creating a family, coordinating a family, and you can then transfer those skills onto the job that you're going to go for. And we had to do a lot of work on her judgment on herself, her self-doubt, her imposter syndrome, that voice that was in her head to say that you're not good enough and that you don't have those skills. But once we'd unpacked a lot of the situations and the challenges that she'd been through, and we looked at all of those skill sets, she then felt more encouraged to go and take this interview and go for the job. And you know what? She got the job. So that just proves that we judge others on the way that we judge ourselves. It's a true reflection on our own fears, on our own insecurities, on our own self-doubts. So Lisa Hopper really goes into the story of challenging us when you read her book and the specific chapter in her book about judgment, that we need to release the judgment on others in order to release the judgment on ourselves, which will then start to create a safe space and an open space for conversations to be had where there are opportunities that we can go and walk towards or challenge ourselves with. Because it is those judgments that will start creating those self-doubts in your head. So I'd like you to think about the next time that you go to critique somebody for not being perfect or not acting how you think they should, for putting themselves out there, for doing something different. Is that our fear? Is that our fear? Could we do what they're doing? And would we do it differently? Or are we just judging them because we don't have the confidence to go and do that ourselves? So if we then release that judgment of other people, we don't feel judged ourselves, and we will make space and create space for being able to be more confident in taking that next step forward. And on to our next step would be, how can we use breath work in order to move us forward into that space? We have a direction with our goals, and we're often, as coaches, we talk about changing our mindsets, but sometimes people find it quite difficult to change a mindset. It's not that easy to suddenly reframe something. So how about if we use our breath in order to slow our minds down, in order to feel more in control of a situation, so we can then have the confidence to step into that space once we've released the self-judgment on ourselves. Karen Farrell took us through a 3-step process. So it's to be aware of our thoughts. So notice when self-doubt comes into play, when our judgment appears. So acknowledge it and notice. That's the first step. The second step is to breathe. You take a deep breath in, you hold and exhale, and this should interrupt the stress response and calm your mind. Then the third step is reframing the thought. So once we've taken that breath, think, how can I see this differently? How can I perceive this situation in a more positive way? So the final part of this coaching, which Karen did with us on the workshop after we'd created a nice safe space through breath work to change our mindsets, to feel more positive, is visualization. So I would like you to take one change, one idea, one dream, one challenge, and hold that in your mind. I'd like you to now close your eyes and imagine yourself in that scenario, whatever that scenario is. So, with using breath work as well, just breathe normally, breathe gently, close your eyes, and imagine yourself in that situation, whatever the situation is, the change you want to make, the big dream you have, the conversation that you want to have that might seem challenging. And now I'd like you to imagine that you're watching this scene on a stage in a movie theatre, and you are sitting in the audience. So you're sitting in the audience and you're looking out on the screen, and you can see yourself in this scene. You can see the scene playing out in front of you. You can imagine it. You can smell it. You can feel it. You can hear what's going on. Take yourself into that space. What can you see that's around you? Who's with you? Is there someone that's with you that you're talking to? Is it something you're doing on your own? Are you inside? Are you in a public place? Are you outside? What's the environment like? What are the colours like? Just picture the scene that you are in where you're going to make this change happen, this big change happen. And keep on breathing nice and steadily in through your nose and out through your mouth. We're now visualising this scene. Now, slowly, I'd like you to get up from your seat and I'd like you to walk towards that stage. And you can see there's a door. So climb onto the stage and you can see there's a door in front of you. Open that door and slowly step into that scene. So you are now in the scene. You are now creating this whole scene and you have stepped into it. And you can see what's around you. You can feel what's around you. You can smell. You can see colours. You can see whoever you're with. And now, whatever that change is, whatever that dream is that you want to make happen, let that filter through. Let that play out in this scene. So slowly visualize yourself, whatever it is. Are you going for a job interview? Are you having a conversation? Are you standing yourself on a stage somewhere? Are you talking in front of lots of people? Are you performing? Are you going for a new career change? Have you suddenly been awarded a qualification that you never thought you'd get or never thought you would have gone for because your self-doubt held you back? But now you're stepping into that space where you've gone back into your career, you've gone back into your training, you're having this conversation that you know is going to go well. You are doing that thing, whatever it is, and you are feeling so good and so proud. Now imagine all your friends and family are there and they're coming round you and they're congratulating you, and or there's that one friend that you've trusted that person. You've told them the conversation that you were going to have, that you were worried about happening, and it went well. Tell them that it went well and visualize how good and how relieved you are because you were doubting yourself, but your intuition told you that you could have this conversation. How does that feel? So we've released the self-doubt, and now you've been able to visualize this thing, this challenge, this journey, this transformation of whatever it is that you want to do, and it's played out. And feel all those lovely warm feelings that you're feeling and how proud you're feeling of yourself. Now slowly open your eyes, and how are you feeling? Are you doubting yourself now, or have you been able to visualize this idea that you can do it? You do have self-belief. You've opened up a door of opportunity and you've stepped into that space with confidence, with self-belief, and now you've done it. So I would encourage you to break the cycle, release the judgment on ourselves, release that fear that we have, and then use the breath work to calm our systems down, to be able to acknowledge those thoughts and those feelings, but then let's recreate those feelings and thoughts in a much more positive way. And I would encourage you to start visualizing whatever it is that you find challenging, or the dream or the aspiration that you have, through the breath work, and start stepping into that space and taking the opportunity so you can start believing in yourself. These are practices that I use within my coaching, and I'm now bringing into more of my coaching. We've got so many layers that we can unpack together. If you would like to work with me, if you would like to do this work with me as the Real Woman Coach, I have a limited number of spaces this month. So I would encourage you to get in contact with me to start making those changes now, because I can help you, give you, and we can unpack all of those fears and doubts that you have. It takes time and it takes practice. And, sometimes we need support. So I'm encouraging you, the first thing you can do is take action to work with me. I can help you with your reframing. We can do some breath work together, and you can work with me as the Real Woman Coach to help you step into that space. The challenges that you face, be it in your work, you might want to be stepping up into a leadership role, and you just got that self-doubt. We can work on that, because I can guarantee you that releasing the self-doubt, releasing your judgment on others, reframing our thoughts, you can step in and you can feel confident and have self-belief in yourself, just like a number of my guests do, my inspirational guests do on this podcast, and with many of the women that I am working with at the moment. The changes that they are making in their lives is just brilliant. And that's the only word I can use for it. I speak in real terms. It is brilliant what they're doing. And I honestly, don't sit back, use this coaching session as a resource. And then if you feel that I am the right coach for you, get in touch with me, because we can do some really great, fabulous work together. And the changes that you can make will literally help you step into the next stage of your life. If you're coming up to midlife, or you are a midlife woman, this is the time where we start evolving. And I have an absolute passion and quest, which I'm trying to share with you guys as a community. Don't sit back and don't sit small, because if you carry on doing that, we as women will always sit small. We need to make these changes now, and we need to start speaking about these changes with our friends and family. So share this episode. Share me as the Real Woman Coach. If you know anybody who you think, you're looking at them thinking, I know that woman can achieve what she wants to, but she has limiting beliefs, she has judgments on herself and self-doubt, share this episode to get in touch with me. I have an email address, TheRealStoriesPodcast@gmail.com. It's TheRealStoriesPodcast@gmail.com. Please message me. I will always get back to you. Please don't think I won't. And I know you might maybe sitting there thinking, oh, maybe I should message her. Don't hesitate. Message me, even if it's just a conversation to see whether or not you feel you're ready for coaching, because with coaching, we need to be ready to take action. And if you're not ready, then just listen to this episode. I've got resources. I've got more resources coming up, which I'm going to be sharing with you. But if you do feel like you want to coach with me, then you can email me. As I said, I've given you the email address. And yeah, take that one step. The one thing this week I'd like you to do is, the next time you critique someone or judge someone, think about, is that my fear? Is that my judgment? Is that my self-doubt? because I need to be perfect. And then work through these practices, acknowledge what you're thinking and acknowledge what you're feeling, do your breath work, and then do your visualization. And if part of that visualization is working with me, absolutely, hell yeah, I high five you. Get in touch with me, because I'd love to be part of that, and I'd love you to talk to me about it. So, take that first step, take it, believe in yourself, because you can do it. So if you have enjoyed this episode of Real Women's Stories, I would encourage you to hit the follow button. If you hit the follow button, all of my episodes will download, which means you have this complimentary resource each week of my coaching episodes. And if you do that, then you won't miss my next episode of Real Women's Stories.